Inside, I'm going to have to cut the wood that you see in the camera. I'm going to cut it with, again, the Dremel saw, which I use to cut the masonry. Of course, when you switch with different materials, when you're cutting wood, you need a certain type of saw blade. When you're cutting metal, you need a different kind of saw blade. And when you're cutting masonry or stucco, you need a different saw blade. So I have 3 types of saw blades, which I actually switch in and out of the saw whenever I want to cut the different materials. So here I'm going to cut it with the right saw made for wood. That's what I'm going to do. There's a lot of sawdust flying around. I didn't think there was going to be this much sawdust, but there's a lot of it flying around. One thing I'm going to have to check is go to the other side of the garage and see if the saw is actually cutting through the wood. I'm going to have to use one of these jigsaws to finish up the job. You can see for the jigsaw, this blade here is exposed. You don't want this plugged in anytime you're not using it. Same goes for any other kind of saw. See, it fits right through. The only problem is I have a nail sticking out here, which I have to get rid of to be able to push this in all the way. But it pretty much will fit in like this. So there's a nail right here I have to get rid of. And I have to probably cut that off. I'm going to actually cut this nail. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the locations where I need to put screws. So I'm actually putting this in here. And you want to make sure that it's kind of square. If you're not sure, maybe put a level here on this edge and make sure it's sitting properly. I think I'm going to do this by eye. It's kind of rocking on for some reason, but I'm going to draw all the locations where I need to drill holes. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 holes. I can see them all here. There's 2 here. I'm actually going to use these screws that I'm showing you here. It's got a Torx head, and I'm going to actually drill the holes in that opening so I can put these screws in to mount the exhaust fan. That's going to be what I'm going to do next. you try not to tighten everything before you get all the screws in, because if you tighten it and the holes are misaligned, you wouldn't be able to actually put them in. So try to just put the first few in and see if everything fits and lines up. Also, you need to be careful about nails, because there's a lot of nails sticking out of this wood. You don't want to get cut. So I think all the screws here are aligning with the exhaust fan, so I can go ahead and tighten them once I get these in. And the screws I bought, they're actually exterior graded screws. They're not interior, so make sure when you want to attach something that's going to be exposed to the outside, you get exterior grade screws, not the interior kind. And then you usually tighten, screws around a square fixture or a round fixture. You do one screw here, you tighten another one here, then maybe up here, then maybe down here. You kind of alternate the tightening sequence. Okay, now that this is all tightened up, one of the other things you have to keep in mind when you do this, like I said, you alternate the tightening sequence. I need to now caulk the edges here on the inside and the outside. For the inside, you can use regular caulking. For the outside, depending on the type of material, you may have to use a different type of caulking. I have like stucco on the outside, so I may have to use more masonry type caulking on the outside. But I have to look and see what the outside looks like at this time. But here you can use the regular interior caulking. The reason you want to caulk it is because you don't want water coming in through these seams right here. You'll have moisture come in during heavy rains. You don't want. A final thing to do is to caulk and seal the inside edges of the fan. This must be done to prevent moisture from entering the garage. You may have to smooth it out with a screwdriver or your fingers to get it really nice and smooth all the way around. So you can kind of see where the caulking has started out on the bottom there. And I kind of zoom in. There's a white piece of caulk there. But again, you'll have to use your fingers or even a screwdriver to kind of smooth it out. So when I smoothed out this caulking, you actually used a screwdriver. Do not use your fingers, as the edges are kind of sharp in certain areas. So now I'm going to have to clean up the caulking that I put there. So I'm going to use some water and damp cloth to wipe that off. So on the outside, by the exhaust fan, I'm going to have to fill in the cracks where I took out stucco more than I needed to. I'm going to use the stucco patch, ready mix stucco patch from Pro Select. I actually got this at Home Depot. I'm going to take a little bit of this, put it in this container. I have two different spatulas here that I can use to apply it, and I'll show you what the issue is outside when we get outside. So now we're outside. I'm going to kind of show you the areas that need to be patched with stucco. If I zoom into this area, that area needs to be right underneath the exhaust fan on the side here, and also some areas on the top. So those are the areas I'm going to focus on in putting the stucco patch in shortly.